All right, welcome back to Finding Truth podcast here on Unscripted Truth TV. Logan here with Austin as usual. Got episode 62 coming at you. Glad to be here. Been another fast-paced week in my world, and yeah, I got a lot to talk about. It's going to be a fun episode. Kind of off the cuff, but something we've been meaning to talk about, and we've hinted at these ideas and everything, and it does leave a lot of room open for community input and things of that nature because it's just kind of it's a place. It's good to gauge where people are at when it comes to something like this because it's not a friendly topic. From just the title, without any context, it's not like a friendly thought for the average person or a nice thought, but it's something that should be thought about and should be discussed. And tonight we plan on doing just that. And the topic will be depopulation. And I'll leave it at that for now and kind of, veil our takes just this minute. But we'll get into it and we'll try to get as many angles as we can from it. And then obviously get input from you guys in the comments and emails, whatever you guys bring. But yeah, without yapping on too much further, how was your week, buddy?
Yeah, it was an all right week. Definitely it was another fast paced week. Had its ups and downs, and it's kind of just really just flew by again, like all the other ones seem to do at this point. It already, just one more episode to go for the month, and then we're on to the last month of the calendar year, and yeah, it's just figuring, like I said, we'll do like we with the NASCAR episode where we talked, the year in review. I figure we'll end the 2025 calendar year with a year in review episode, just going over this calendar year. Last year we got started in the end of September, so we really only had like 3 months of the calendar year on here. But this year will be a full year unless something happens in the next month, which you never know, might. But soon, pending that it doesn't, that'll be kind of the plan. Probably about a month from now, do an episode, just kind of going over the year and stuff. And yeah, last week we went over the Economist cover and stuff, and even tonight's episode, we were planning this one like 2 weeks ago, and we came up with an idea for last week. This week was going to be last week's episode, but we had some other things that popped up through the week that we covered. We had a lot of gematria in the last episode, and the Economist cover and that find, and we got it in last week instead. So this is kind of what was also on the table and on the plans to talk about. So it's not like totally like kind of off the cuff, but it kind of is in its own way, but then it's kind of not because we were planning on it anyways. But yeah, last week, I know our video did really well. It got a lot of views. I think a lot of people, as far as I know, there isn't really a lot of people that really covered the Economist cover, at least this year. Or at least dived in as deep as we did, especially, the gematria lens and stuff. And I was, it's interesting. Tonight is episode 62, and there was a lot of 62s in that, and there was a lot of 26s, of course. We went over, and all the other big numbers we always look for and talk about were there as well. And there was a lot to talk about last week with all that. And I was still finding 26s all week and 62s together and separate, but I was still finding things, here and there. And, I think it's, it's very fitting. It was something where, like I said, I don't know anyone else that really went over it as in depth as, in detail as we did, breaking it down, so it's great to see that video had some success and, slowly but surely, gaining some subs as well. So I think, this episode and last week's, I think will tie together pretty nicely. It's kind of somewhat, it's very related topics. And like I said, was going to be planned last week anyways, but last week being a great episode. I think tonight a lot of people should have some kind of somewhat feedback. It's, kind of going to be one of those episodes that, it might seem or sound abrasive. Maybe some people that are just new here, people that have caught on to the work or maybe found this work or this channel. This is going to be one of those episodes that maybe you yay or nay, agree or disagree with. but I figure that's kind of the point too, because like you said, it's perfect. It gets, kind of shows people where we're at and where others are at, and just kind of going over some things. We've gone over Agenda 21, Agenda 2030 pretty thoroughly on this channel. We've gone over the Georgia Guidestones. We've gone over, a lot of this already. So it's a little bit of you know, overtake on that as well again, and then just adding in some new takes and new stuff to add and just our opinions as well. So I feel like this is going to be should be a very fun episode tonight. And like you said, maybe next week King will be on again or something, and will be our final episode of the month as we are rapidly wrapping up the calendar year of 2025, as it is zipping by. It's already 62. We're getting old.
Absolutely. And yeah, well put with the, the kind of synopsis of, where this episode could, take our viewers and which way. And either way works for us, as all feedback is, I shouldn't say good feedback, but it's in a way it's for you, it should be good feedback. I mean, just the fact that you're reaching out and you're, being a part of something, that's kind of what we've urged, for the greater portion of our existence there on YouTube. So if it's negative in the grand scheme of, whether the feedback is negative to us, that's still a positive that you're at least putting yourself out there and letting things be known and being a part of something. It's just like, what town could, say we were to do a community type of living thing. It's like, that's like dystopian. If you go to the town hall and everyone's just like, oh yes, yes, I love everything. Everything is great. I love everything. Nothing is wrong. That's where you get into the freaky sci-fi movies, horror movies. So it's like, yeah, there's going to be people that disagree or agree in different ways too. There's different ways to agree on the same overarching concept without being, the way we go about it might be different or things of that nature. But like you were saying, it could ruffle, I think, a few feathers that people that might have like a preconceived notion about, us, because I don't know. I think that we do tend to be pretty, well spoken about what we think about as far as society. And I mean, I say that, but it's, a few months ago, it was like basically all we talked about for months, which is great. Like we had a whole series that one day I'm sure will be rebooted and picked back up with more ideas. And but it was, focused on basically society, relationships, all these types of things. And we aired a lot out about our personal beliefs, personal anecdotal stories, and things of that nature. That backdrop, if you're with us for that, you'll already have that in your bag, and you'll know kind of where we stand with a lot of things. But if not, like you said, this could become quite an abrasive listen. And I just ask that you try to get through it with us, and give us your feedback, and realize we're just two homies, trying to do what we can in with what we are given, and looking to open this thing up for more people to join us and make something greater. But at the same time, some of these concepts and topics are going to be controversial at the heart of it. But yeah, but that doesn't mean you don't touch it. That, that's like, Voldemort didn't get any weaker because people weren't saying his name. Yeah, that's a little gay reference there. better just use the Hitler. Hitler's better. But anyway, so with that being said, did you want to kick us off on this concept? Maybe because this, we are unscripted truth here, so it's not like we write these episodes out. So where do you want to start this thing, and then we'll just take off from there.
Yeah. Well, it's kind of like, the way I sent it to you too, and I text it to you, like, just that whole saying, like what we've talked about a couple weeks ago too, at that, that end of that show, what we were planning last week, do we really, do we need, you know, do people and humanity need to, die off and kind of go away? And it's, you know, there's a lot of angles to take from this tonight, and I'll kind of scoot around and you know, shoot off in different directions with this, because it's, we've talked, like you said, about the relationships and that stuff, but this is more of, really the nitty gritty, like really looking at humanity and where it's at, and going forward, and, just, it's just like, everybody, worrying about, the future and what's coming, and AI, AI, and, economic collapse and all these things. Um, and then it's just like, you got people worried about it, but, but then it's just like, isn't it, to me, it's in so many ways, it's well, not only thought out, but it's, it's well deserved for, you know, especially, coming at it from like people like us, that, we're the ones who really, in my opinion, really have to kind of suffer in this world, because a lot of these people that live their lives and do their things and just kind of go day to day and just keep their head down, they don't, I don't really see these people really having to really, I don't think this world really gets to them, or they're just, they're just like a different species or something. I don't know. Like, we're the ones that, you know, we had to suffer during, COVID, and, after, and everything that's happened, I mean, and everything that's brought, and just, and there's, 9/11, all the other things that have happened in just the world, just every year, I've just seen since, like, I've been ever alive, just every year it just gets worse. And it's just like, you look around and it's just like, man, how are people not catching on that every year it's just, we're just trending downwards, and that's, it's not an agenda. You just have, um, all these people that just, you know, want to keep this going. And I've brought this up too in the past. You got these, these toxic, positivity, these toxic, life improvement channels, stuff like that. This crap people are talking about on YouTube, and they're just, just putting out there and stuff. And, you know, there's so many people that just want to keep kicking this can down the road, and they just don't want to do research. And a lot of people, they're caught up in, like I said, religion, and, Christianity, um, whatever it is. And it's just, for whatever reason, you can't really reach these people with Jamachi or really anything. They're not really going to look into it. They're not going to do the research, or, they're just going to go along with stuff and just not do anything. And, people, like I said, people like us, we're the ones, there's such a few, uh, people that actually do, go against these agendas hardcore, and really do push this stuff back, and resist. And, um, some of us have had it our whole lives. I know, like, like we've talked about, 9/11 didn't really affect us and affect people like COVID did, especially since that time. And you just look at how bad things have gotten since that time. And, there are people that say, oh, people are, waking up and all this, and they're waking up. But I mean, I don't, I mean, I think what it is people are kind of being forced to look at things. There's enough out there that they're kind of being forced to see that, the system is, flawed and stuff. But, there's very few people that actually want to actually talk about, how to go against the grain and the system. And, and people can look at, like I said, all these, you got these toxic, positive channels that, these toxic, life improvement stuff, but none of them are really going to give you the real, knowledge that you really need to know, or how to, stop the next agenda. They're not talking about, they're not up to speed. These people are just, they're too far behind is the problem, or they just don't want to look at it is the other problem. And, there's a lot of people that, I mean, the reason they have, views and, uh, channels or success is because they're not, they're not going after the agenda. They're not going after, what's really, you know, the cream of the crop. And, this is where, there's such a huge divide in humanity in these, there's so many people that they are holding us back, and it's a lot of different ways. I mean, you got people that, are holding us back, and, people are just still voting and still pushing this agenda along, and they still, are pushing the left, right, and the blue and the red and all this crap. Since even the Charlie Kirk thing, I've been seeing, Charlie Kirk stuff all the time. And it was funny. One day I was at the store and I seen a Trump, like someone had like Trump stickers in their car, and there's the Charlie Kirk person. They parked next to each other. I thought it was funny. I was laughing at it and stuff. And, there's too many, losers and clowns in this world that just want to keep pursuing this absolute garbage and trash. And it's like I say all the time. I mean, there shouldn't be, I don't know. I don't understand how this stuff continues to go on. It just blows my mind how this continues. I mean, we're almost 2026 calendar year wise. April will be here before you know it. And who knows where things are going to be. And if next year is the dollar collapse and the crash of the economy and the AI takeover and all this stuff. I mean, if that is the case, I mean, just looking at it right now. I mean, I'm just so disappointed in humanity is the thing. I mean, I don't know how many chances people have had to catch on, and again, I don't tell anybody how to live their life and what to do and stuff. But just how people have just allowed this to happen. People just have let so much slide. They've just let everything slide. I mean, in every single way. I mean, it doesn't matter if you can't see a chemtrail in the sky and see you're being poisoned, and then or you can't see your UFC fight maybe was rigged, or that it's rigged. You think it's real, you think it's legit, and you're still pushing that. Or people just want to promote this absolute garbage, and it's just so frustrating and infuriating. People like Andrew Wilson, just these other people that are just total clowns. I mean, just total clowns. Yet these people somehow have an audience. I don't know how that guy's got an audience. How it's even possible. But you just have these just the total losers and frauds in society, and just all these people that people want to look up to and have and this is where it's at. And then you have people like us, like I said, that are actually trying to do something, go against the grain, trying to make a living, trying to survive in the system. And these people are just, they are part of the system. They're making our lives worse. And you just keep seeing these sellouts in society. I mean, I've talked about all the time. People will just join the military, they'll join the police, they'll join whatever just to sell out and make money and stuff, and all these frauds. And in terms, it just keeps damaging us and people like us that actually want this all to go away and stop. And how we should have all of our freedoms and rights that we really should have. I mean, there shouldn't be anything, inflation, all this crap that is totally fake and manipulated. Yet people want to keep pushing the system and keep, pushing. Oh, just work harder, and you got to just keep working harder, and and then you have the older generations that don't care. So, there's a lot of people in my mind that, when the system, and you got people too. I mean, they still don't want to believe in things like weather warfare and, all this stuff we talk about, and just all these people that want to say, oh, it's just a coincidence, or you're schizophrenic, or you're just depressed. You have a negative outlook on life, Austin. I don't know why you guys talk about this stuff. These are the people. And then while we're marching toward, like I said, if 2026 is it, if it's AI, robots, the crash, whatever, in so many ways, it's deserved, on both fronts, because, the Illuminati, the Jesuits, people that run the world, control the world and do all this stuff, the secret societies, all the higher powers, their programming has just worked too well on people. But then, it's also, it's like, people overall, they're just too dumb. I mean, they've just become too dumb. They're just, they're too far behind. Just the fact that, like I said, I mean, I just can't believe we're still talking about Donald Trump and voting, and, even after, with this, these Epstein bullshit they're pushing, all this crap, how this continues to go on. We still have people, getting ready to vote and take 2028 seriously. And this just, it's just, it's like I said, it's so annoying and it's so disappointing that, this knowledge and has been out for so long. I've always been a curious person. I've always wanted to research things, always wanted to look into things. But I always knew without even, looking into things that things were bullshit, like school and voting and all this crap. And it's just like how people can be just so different. And like you said, too, I mean, no one is going to agree about everything. No people are exactly alike. But then you do have these other people out here that it's like they are, and society is getting worse. I mean, it's definitely getting worse. I mean, you're seeing it at all fronts. Whether it's even scammers, people just out doing things to others. People just, like I said, either they're participating in this stuff, they're helping push it, whatever it is. Um, and all of this stuff is like I said, it's leading us to the demise. And we're most likely, me and you and Zach and King, we're most likely all going to get taken out and go down with the sheep and everyone else. But it's just it's to me it is well deserved in so many ways. Not just from the people doing it top. That their stuff is working and they have succeeded in what they've done. But humanity's had all the chances in the world to catch on and learn, especially, with the internet. I always say the internet was a double-edged sword. Technology is a double-edged sword because it can be used, it's changed the world for better and worse. I mean, uh, we would have never known each other and met up without, YouTube and the internet, and I would have never probably found Zach and stuff. So, I mean, it's been, you know, but so many other people have had the chance to learn and catch on and do things as well, and they haven't. And if anything, they've worked against us, and they've still want to call us, depressed or schizophrenic or think we got issues and think we're the problem and stuff. And whether people, maybe some people here and there are waking up and getting it and figuring it out, they're still not truly to the point to where they need to be. There's a lot of people are still too far behind. And yeah, it is all by design, of course, but there can't just be just a few people like us that are, towing the line for a better world, a better society. And there can't just be a full little bit of people just trying to, do research and figure things out. And then, like I said, with the religious people and everyone else and more people becoming religious and, getting caught up in that, stuck in that, that's also pushing back, humanity and society. And just like I said, people's health is so bad. You got a lot of just people that are just in terrible shape, terrible health. I mean, they're not doing us any good either. They're not helping, society, they're not helping their kids, their own family. I mean, it just brings everybody down as well. So we just have so much weight that we have to carry. People, people that actually are doing things. And I know you've talked about it too. There's people that, people that don't, want to do anything. They just want to rely on the system, and people that are, just trying to get what they can from others, whether it's stealing something or scamming somebody or setting somebody up. And just the rise of narcissism and stuff, and especially with all the stuff with AI now, the deep fakes, all this stuff, and AI people, like I've said too, I mean, if people are going to get an AI, I mean, you want to be in it now, because a year or two from now it's only going to get worse. And if you're going to make money and successful, it's now or never, because the future, the AI bubble bursting next year, and just AI taking over. But again, I mean, if we had our way, there wouldn't be no AI, artificial intelligence, any of this crap, being pushed and forced down, taking all of our jobs. And but again, this is what people in humanity are allowing, and we just keep allowing this to go on. And like I always say too, you got these same people out here just, oh, you just got to keep working and keep pushing. But these are the same people, they got their head down, they're not really thinking about anything real deep, they're not seeing where things are going, or they just think that it's either not going to affect them somehow, or maybe they're not going to be affected, or maybe they're just going to go along with it, like the digital ID that's at the doorstep right now, trying to pretty much put the nail in the coffin for people like us, trying to take all our rights away for the final time, and pretty much just really screw us over at that point. But yeah, I mean, that's just pretty much, the just point for me with society. It's just like, yeah, most people, the Georgia Guidestones, 14 out of 15 people got to go. I'd say that's probably pretty close and pretty accurate to the truth when you look around at the average person and what they got going on.
Yeah, well said. I'm glad I left it up to you to open us up. That was a lot of stuff covered there and a lot of great points. And yeah, you bring up the Georgia Guidestones, of course, maintaining humanity under 500 million. Let's all get better at math, people.
Yeah.
Because I don't know, you're not it. You're not one of them. Trust me. You might think, 500 billion. Yeah, that's a lot. Yeah, you're not one. And this is coming from someone who is a big disputer of numbers. I do dispute a lot of the numbers that are told about, whether it's miles, amounts of people, all sorts of things that the numbers were given for, especially when you're in tune with the ritualism that they place on these numbers. I really tend to doubt a lot of the things they tell us as far as how much of anything or how little of anything. But still, 500 million. It's pretty safe to say there's 500 million people guaranteed on this. Well over 500 million guaranteed. So either way, there's a lot of people that gotta go. And if you guys take that sentiment as, that's just an idealistic future. No, we're headed there, guys. You're not one of them. You're in the shredder. Let's open your eyes now so that you can do your best to avoid this for you. And my main issue is the toilet bowling of the next generation that's being done, and it's been happening. It's just this cycle of toilet bowling the next generation, and like you said, kicking the can down the road, which is extremely unhealthy because it fuels resentment into the next generation. And I've never seen it as much as it is right now. You look at things, stripes back in the day, like world wars and Vietnam, and of course, there wasn't social media the way it is now, so it's like you didn't see it as much then. So maybe it still existed, but maybe not on such a level, because people were afraid. Without cohesion, without knowing that there's a bunch of people that had your same sentiments, you wouldn't carry those sentiments. You would still be respectful about a situation. Even if you were anti-war, you would think about the human properties of all the people. You would probably maybe know somebody who went and died in Vietnam, and so you wouldn't disrespect that idea so much. This is not me being pro-war or any pro-soldier or anything like that. I'm just saying nowadays the younger generation just shits on the older generation. And you brought that up too, mentioned that the older generation doesn't care. And I completely agree with that. They completely, and we've covered this before too. We've talked about the mistakes of the previous generations, and how what's interesting is you never see it when it's so hard to see it when you're in it. We are a generation that will be a previous generation. What are we doing? We are cooking things up. And what are we blaming it on? Another generation. Guys, come on. This is what keeps happening. It's just so funny that you see so many people blaming the previous generation, whether or not it's the housing crisis, this and that. And this is all having to do with depopulation too, guys, because this thing that they're making happen, this crashes, the dollar crashes, the housing crashes, cost of living, all this stuff has to do with ingraining into your head, so that you ingrain into your kid's head that the economy is this machine that needs certain cogs running a certain way in order to work. And they're going to show you that it can no longer work in that way. And then they will show you the solution. This is how it needs to work. And you will buy into that solution, or your kids will buy into that solution, because they know the last one didn't work according to you and the previous people. And so rather than buying into this garbage and espousing it to your kids and to your neighbors and all this stuff, this is why we're here, is to kind of break through the monotonous bullshit that's handed down to us from our overlords and AI powered government bots, and see things for what they are, and realize that we're, it's played out, and they love to do this, but it is spiritual warfare. And whether you're not, I'm not talking about religion necessarily. Someone who is religious, they can apply it to their religion, because usually religions are spiritual, so you can apply it to your religion. But rather than applying it to a religion, understanding that there is more to this world than binary numbers and just like autonomous actions. Obviously, we are here as this special thing, and what we're doing right now is working towards fueling this widget, this purposeless widget. This is all we're doing, is just a machine that does nothing. We are just turning cogs in a machine that outputs nothing. It just doesn't do anything. Rather than doing something that, if we were all on the same page, or at least mostly on the same page, we would achieve something we could never understand right now. And I think, potentially other civilizations or, time periods got closer. I think that's why you see, peaks of civilizations making this lasting impact on the world. Whereas now, what's our impact going to be? A bunch of like square concrete and like some lights, some LED lights. It's just like, bro, what is going on here? Anyway, that's aesthetics, not necessarily where we're going with this. But you bring up a great point about, turning the cogs of this pointless machine. I know that's how I put it, but you're talking about these pointless jobs and things of that nature, and how they're upholding these ideas and this system because it's easy for them. Because when you're in the system and you're helping the system rewards you by basically staying out of it, and even sometimes making it easier for you. And it's almost as if they got just like Gore-Tex Teflon suits on, that just all the bullshit just slides right off of them. And meanwhile, you have people that see things for what they are, like us and people in the community, and it's almost like a natural deterrent, because as soon as you step off the escalator of normalcy in the widget farm, you start to realize that it's way harder to walk for yourself, and it's way harder to see things for yourself, but it's a necessary thing to do spiritually. The fact that you're just sitting there on the escalator and, with your AI Ray-Bans on, and everything's just being pushed into your brain and you don't have to do any work. It's like, you can only see how wrong that is when you get off and you see the crowds of people all looking the same, being the same, doing the same. It's just like that, there's been enough media that shows that kind of imagery that what I'm talking about. But it's really hard when you're in it. And a lot of times you can not know you're in it. I do want to throw that line out there. I completely agree with what you're saying. And by the way, most of my sentiments are exactly what you're saying. I don't have a lot of patience anymore. I still, the thread of patience I have mostly is because we all come from that. No one's born and it's just like, yo, this shit's fucked up. Yo, I see everything. I know everything. I know for a fact this is messed up. But like you say, there are levels to it, and with those levels, when you do step off the escalator, it's one of the best quotes ways to like frame this is that whole I don't care. You guys can look it up who came up with this, but the shadows on the wall theory thing, where you got a bunch of people in a cave and they're making shadow puppets on the walls, and everybody is like, they're all tied up together, and all their whole worldview is just the shadows on the wall, and they base everything around their day based on these shadows on the wall. They don't know anything else. But one day they let somebody out, and he gets to see the moon and the skies and the stars, and knows that this is all just bullshit. And when he goes back, the people fight him. They don't want to get up and escape with him. They're like, yo, let me stay here. But so yeah, it's just that the patience is tough, because I don't put myself above anybody. I really don't look at myself as better than anybody. In fact, it's a lot of the times it's the opposite. I'm sitting here wondering how I know these things and you don't. Like I'm talking, there's people that, are way ahead of me in aptitude and things of that nature. And they're sitting here, oh, come on, ref. I'm like, bro, what do you mean ref? Don't you get it? There's refs. The refs are paid off. The refs are paid. The coaches are paid. Everyone's paid to do it. And that's just one aspect of this stupid world. But at the same time, the world rewards you for being sports fans. You dump your money into it and it's nothing but a sinkhole for your energy and for your money. But at the end of the day, you get positive reinforcement for doing so. And I know that because I was in it. And so, like I said, my last piece of patience is really just knowing that everybody, and people love saying this too. I've heard it several times since our podcast. People have said this to me or in the comments or whatever, that it's just, everyone's at a different stage. We can't keep saying that shit. Like, what stage? It's like, okay, say you're on the final rung of the escalator and it just dips off into the lava pool. It's just, what good does it do you if you wake up right then? What good are you? So it's like, you can say that, that's fine, I guess, if that's how you feel. But what I think of that is, it's a cop-out to say, it's another way of saying, I'm going to let this thing play out. It's another way of taking yourself out of it and any responsibility towards having anything to do about it. It's so easy. And you mentioned the Epstein files. That's another hilarious one. What the fuck is anyone going to do about any of it? The tunnels, the children being trapped. I was going through our thumbnails. We talked about this months ago. And We've been on this type of thing. What is anybody going to do about it? Are we going to hold anybody accountable? Are we going to go through the Hollywood Hills as people, as a militia, and pound doors down, breaking and entering, and checking these places out that have been rumored to have tunnels or the government bunkers or anything of this nature? Are we as a people going to rise up and say, what's going on in here? And go check these things out? It's baffling when you it might seem like unfeasible what I'm saying this. And then I want you guys to close your eyes and imagine like rooms full of children that are helpless and can't do anything and have no right to be, having what's done to them. But and then say you got to that room and you had to explain to them why it took so long, and just be like, well, because I thought somebody else was doing it. Oh, I didn't want to. Just the excuses you would come up with would pale in comparison to the overwhelming knowing that you should have, and nothing really should have stopped you ever. And that's the same kind of thinking I carry over into this whole talk of, a spiritual battle type of thing. Is we know certain things, we know we're not doing what we're supposed to be doing. And when you have so many people willing to uphold the status quo at the detriment of anybody that's trying to, strip away the veneer of BS that's being spread over everything, it becomes this interesting proposal where, what in the end, like I said, what's the point? What's the purpose if you wake up only when you're falling off the escalator into the volcano? Did you do is it okay? Does it help that you woke up eventually? What does that matter? Do you get one final prayer in and you're saved? How does this work? What is the point of being, waking up on the escalator with that's, with 5 miles still left to go? What's the point? It's only spiritual. The only reason you would get off the escalator is a spiritual reason. It's something else other than, and it shouldn't, maybe not only spiritual. There is people could not think of any of that stuff and still say what they see going on is wrong and they want to do something about it. So I shouldn't say it's only, but even then I would say the fact that you are thinking that rather than, ooh, feed me slop. Ooh, let me think about the sports. Ooh, let me type on the keyboard. And ooh, let me get the paycheck. Ooh, let me do it all again. Just the fact that you're not, you've stepped out of that cycle. I think that there is something spiritual about that. But that doesn't mean, like I said, for all I know, we get to the end and we find out, yeah, everybody was on a different time and it was pointless to try to change anybody. Does that mean I'm going to do anything different? Hell no. I'm still going to try to not change anybody. I shouldn't frame it that way. Someone will attack me for that. You're not trying to change people. Shut the fuck up. I'll try to change you from ever saying that to me. But anyway, and then, these same people, like you said, we're not looking to control anybody or anything like that, or like control how anybody else moves. But I would say, as an ask, is that, and this is where it's kind of iffy with me. I'd have to go on a little bit longer to explain because this is a convoluted concept to me, because I do have 2 kids, and my first one was certainly less planned than the second. And I was definitely in a bot state when I had my first child. So that being said, I did wake up and I do have that sense of responsibility, and it does amplify by, wanting to do better for your kids. And I've talked about this before. It helps when you have your own kids to like awaken that in you, but that doesn't mean it only has to be awakened in you if you have kids. You can want to help the next generation. They exist. It's like, in a way, you could look at the next generation as all like your kids, not in like the physical sense of obviously, but in that it does you no good to wish ill will on the next generation. It does just like the previous generation, it did us no good that they wished ill will on us, or that they took a lax approach to us. But what my ask would be is that, do whatever you guys got to do. Just like try not to have kids. So I'm not, this isn't me agreeing with like depopulation or anything like that. I do think that people should be having kids. I've said this more often than I've ever said anything like I'm saying now. I'm just saying, if you, and it's really pointless, because trying to explain this to somebody who's this ingrained in the system still, they're not going to pay any heed to this anyway, and they're just going to make another clone of themselves. But that's really what I'm talking about, is that they vicariously push their garbage into their kids, because they see this as one giant competition where it's like their ideals versus everybody, not versus everybody else's, but it's like like I said, it's just like a competition. It's like what are those things called? Like a pageant almost. It's like they want to be the best automaton, and they want to have the best automaton. They want to show off that their kid is the best at doing the system things. And other than that, just do what you got to do. Have fun while you're here, and exit stage left, in my opinion, at your own leisure, really. Just, don't bring another one in here that's just going to be really just made to be a cog in any course correction, or for the ones that you'll come afterwards that see the bullshit for themselves, have to contend with a bunch of morons like we have now, a bunch of fall for COVIDers, a bunch of triple mask wearers. You know what I mean? It's just it's just compounding an issue. And my last 2 notes here from what you were saying, I guess I kind of covered it, but my terminology, I guess, would be for the feeling that it's kind of egotistical the more I think about it, but I don't think of it necessarily as egotistical. I don't put myself on a higher pedestal just because I consider myself awake, or whatever you want to call it, hip to the BS, if you will. But I do feel like it's a spiritual resentment. Like I said, like I can just picture this giant escalator and I'm screaming at everybody and they're just like got their shit on blast and their Ray-Bans on and they couldn't hear me, or even if they heard me, they wouldn't care. And it's like this feeling that it's just like, when are you gonna wake up? Are you going, like, hurry up and wake up? Like this is not some infinite time experiment. Nobody has infinite time. So that was what I had to say about that. But and then, oh yeah, your last comment about the internet. I would say it might have been a double-edged sword, yeah, but I think it was a well-calculated risk, with knowing that these people are psychological indexers. They index the personality of all of us, as many of people as they can, and they always have. And the internet was their best chance to do it on a grander scale and a much more efficient way. And even though it opened up avenues for them to be caught out on stuff in real time, where's that gotten them? Where's the big fallout from them being caught red-handed and being able, that message to be able to reach millions of people? Once again, no repercussions. And 9/11, Afghanistan, Iraq, just goes on and on. List goes on and on. Like, everybody knows about the Illuminati. They all just think it's a big joke still. Like it's 2005 or something. I don't remember when that, or maybe even earlier. I remember in the 90s, Illuminati was like a joke, and all the hip hop artists would throw their little signs and do their little circle signs, and it was just kind of like, whenever asked about it, it was just like, ah ha ha ha, it's just a big joke. And look at where that got us. It's just like all this information, and they knew that we'd squander it, in my opinion. So I call that a calculated risk.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, and the fact of the matter is, going from here, I mean, as it stands and where society is, and where, everything is at, there is no future. And that's the thing, like what you were saying. And I don't know how people like don't understand that and don't think about that. Like I said, I don't know how, like, the world doesn't, like, make people mad. Like, everything's becoming so overly complicated, complex. Doesn't need to be. I mean, everything's becoming so expensive. You can't buy anything. You can't go anywhere. You can't do anything. All this new crap we have, and it's just all garbage. I mean, why haven't we took matters into our own hands and tried to reverse the situation? Like, all these new vehicles and crap. Why aren't we making them like the 90s and early 2000s, when you could hit 400,000 or 500,000 miles in the car and the motor would just be given out? Now you can't even hit 100,000. You've already had to spend $50,000 in repairs because the sensors and electronics didn't work, and all this crap you don't even need. Like, just all the stuff we just we do to ourselves with and make things so overly complicated and complex, and just and like you were saying, just like there's, and that's the thing. I mean, there's no way to for me to, like, you look forward, it's like, okay, financially, there's no way to literally improve your life unless you become a sellout. Like I said, join the military, which I'm already too old anyways. Crap like that. Join the police, whatever. I mean, unless you're selling out and or getting an AI and doing stuff like that, there really isn't any way to really truly improve your life, especially when you're doing what we're doing and talking things that we're talking, because there will be repercussions. Things will come after you, and knock you off your pedestal and stuff. You will be targeted. You'll lose what you have. So that's the thing. I mean, and looking forward, I mean, there's no future, but it's like, you look at all, like I said, all these younger people my age and younger, all of us just got totally just, screwed, by the older people too, from, generations ago, the boomers and stuff like that. I mean, they're the ones, they got to, buy a house for, 10, 20 grand, and, have a car for like $2 grand, and, brand new one, and, have a business, and, have a, actually be able to live a life and stuff. The younger generation didn't get a chance to do anything. They can't afford a car. Your jobs don't pay you jack shit. I mean, if you're getting paid less than 30 an hour, I mean, that's just an absolute crock of shit in today's economy. I mean, you're not even making anything unless you're making 50 an hour with the way inflation's going. Even that's not going to get you a house or nothing. I mean, I can't even buy you a decent new car. I mean, and a lot of people can't afford. I don't even got, like I said, I don't got health insurance. I can't afford that crap. If something happens to me, I go down, I'm just gonna have to die because Austin comes down with cancer. Well, it's over. I need a heart transplant and a lung transplant, and or need new knees and all this crap. No, it's over for me. It's done. I'm edged and stage left. I mean, that's just where it's gonna be. I mean, you can't afford to do anything. You can't afford to take care of yourself. You can't afford, you know, health care. So many people are barely getting by as it is in those regards. And that's a huge one too. I mean, because like I said, you got so many people that are awful health and they can't even do anything about it. Um, and like I said, just I don't know how people just don't get mad at the system and at the world, and how people aren't more frustrated. I mean, there's so many people right now that can't even get a job. They can't find a job. Um, I've struggled all year looking for, trying to build businesses and work with people and try and get side gigs, side hustles going. I mean, I can't come up with jack shit. I mean, I've been trying it left and right and this and that. And, it's so difficult and so hard to do basic, simple things that used to just be easy. I mean, it used to be just simple. I mean, you had to go in somewhere or, find something. It was easy to find work, find jobs. I mean, uh, all this stuff is purposely being done just to screw people over. And it's just like I said, unless you have your own business and work for yourself, or, you're using AI or something, I mean, there's going to be no way for you to exist in the years coming. And that's the only way you're going to make it. I mean, how many people right now are living out, they're homeless, they're living out in the woods, they're doing what they can to survive. And you don't even got people that realize it or care or see anything. It's just like everything's just become normalized. Everyone just normalizes the shit society, how bad things are. And like I said, you get that old, you just gotta pull yourself up by your bootstraps, just gotta work harder. And no, that's not gonna get you anywhere. You gotta look at what's going on. Everyone just wants to, that's what I said, just all this, toxic crap we want to push at you. And what good is it going to do when the digital ID is knocking at your door? I mean, when they're ready to hit you with a drone strike or some crap, this is, you really have to think. People just don't think about anything, or somehow they think that they're either immune to things or doesn't involve them or concern them. And somehow they're just going to live a happy, peaceful life and everything. They're just going to go take 100 Pfizer jabs and then take 200 more next month. And they're just going to feel great. And it's to be like doing rounds of cocaine, I guess. It gives them energy. I don't know. I mean, I don't know what's really going through people's minds. That's just like what you were saying. I don't understand how we all can be so like just disconnected. Like I just don't get it. Like how people are happy to just keep doing their crappy job, not making jack shit, not being able to ever afford anything. I mean, like I said, how many people can't, I'd never be able to afford a wife, kids, a house, anything. I mean, it's really impossible. It's really impossible I can barely have a car, even a decent car that someone doesn't screw up or have car problems, stuff like that. I mean, the quality of life is just completely jack shit. I mean, for the most part. And then you got people that, like I said, whether they got money and they're doing good and stuff or whatever the case may be. Like I said, they don't think about, when everything comes crashing down, how, when it all, all that money, everything you got, it ain't going to matter. It's not going to do you any good, in the long run. And then you have this, this growing divide in the world. There's people just everyone just turning on each other and against each other, literally for just I don't understand like what like what reason. People will, where like there used to be more people. That's what I don't understand. Like there's all these people are waking up. I mean, you know they're supposedly waking up, but I mean, yeah, maybe they're seeing some things here or there. They're going to get some things here or there. I'll give some credit here and there. I'll see some things like, yeah. But I mean, still they're talking about how they're like so optimistic about the future and the near future. And they're still talking about how, AI and, working with AI and how we're just going to have to, live with it and deal with it and all this stuff. It's like what exactly why do we have to go along with this? Like that's what I don't understand. Like everyone, nobody has a place of control of anything. It's just, oh, these are the, this is, the technology. We have to do this, we have to do that. It's like, where's the pushback anywhere when it comes to anything? I mean, obviously it's like all this stuff is obviously all detrimental. It's no good. Whether it's AI data centers, coming to a town near you or a city near you, or maybe it'll be right next to your house. They're just going to build it right on top of there. I mean, where things are going, it just like where, and maybe like I said, some will get stopped. There'll be some pushback in other places, but most of them are going to end up going up. And most of, like this AI and everything else that's coming, you still have more people promoting it and pushing it just to make that dollar, just to make that money. So, you still have more people definitely pushing it than not pushing it. I mean, it's just like, I'll see, polls or posts. If people are saying, Trump's doing a great job, and I don't know how much of it is bots and fake, just fake AI bots, stuff like that, or I mean, I know there's people that it's like, how can there be this many people that are still following this guy, that continuously are behind him? He's just somehow gaining more momentum. There's still people that say he's doing better and better. And just, I mean, they can't get off him. It's just like, I just don't understand. And then you look at, just the trajectory of just society, like I was saying. I mean, how just things get worse year after year. I mean, this is just a common trend I've always seen. Like, I've just seen this coming my whole life. Just things get worse every year. It just keeps going down and down and down. It's like, I don't understand why people don't see it that way, and how people aren't catching on to that. And then, like we were saying, I mean, how we have become this rare. I mean, it seemed like there was a point where, like a decade ago, a decade and a half ago, there was a decent amount of people like looking for information and doing research and stuff. It seemed like, but somehow things just, I don't know where everybody just went. I mean, like you would think with everything that's happened, I mean, there would be more people than ever going against system, going against the grain, especially after COVID in 2020, people that got screwed over. Um, I mean, you got people that, they lost their house, they lost their job, they lost their career. They may have lost their kids, their wife, their husband due to, COVID vaccine or other things that were happening. I mean, you have people lose everything and never recover. I mean, you got certain people that just got totally wiped out from it. And that's just that. I mean, we're not even talking like weather warfare, all the other things that are happening that people still don't want to talk about or still want to deny that's going on. So you have all these things that people won't even, like I said, acknowledge for whatever reason, don't want to talk about. It's like, oh, I'm not hip with 2030. I'm not into Agenda 2030, man. It's like nobody knows the day and the time. It's like, yeah, the people that rule over us, they know when the shit's going down. Okay, this shit is planned. They knew Kurt Cobain's going out April 5th and Lane Staley's going to be there 8 years later. They have this stuff to a T. This is the whole point of it. 9/11, they had that ready to go. I mean, it was everywhere. I mean, they had it ready to go. COVID, they had it ready to go. I mean, look at the Economist cover. Hindsight's 2020. I mean, it was right there. They have this stuff planned well before it ever happens. So they know, and they're getting ready to drop the grid. They're going to do this, they're going to do that. It's all planned. It's all an agenda. And we've had this planned our whole lives. I mean, that's the thing. I mean, for people to say, "Oh, no one knows when it's going down," they know when it's going down. Trust me, they've had all this ready to go. They knew how all this would play out, and like I said, they've done a great job. But I just feel like, like I've said this so many times. I feel like, I hate, I don't want to give them too much credit. I give them somewhat credit, but then I look around, it's like, man, look at our grid system. I mean, these shitty power lines, and look at this just garbage, outdated. You know, all of a sudden the power's out. I mean, they can barely keep the power on and stuff as it is. So it's like, I look at their system, it's like, I trying to give them too much credit, but to me, it's just more disappointment and frustration with humanity, not catching on, not pushing back, not being bothered by seemingly anything. I just don't understand how, you're going to work, not making jack shit. Your job sucks. You're losing, you can't even keep a car. You can't pay your bills. Um, you can't have a woman or a man. You can't have kids. You can't have you can't have a house, you can't do nothing, and even if you did, you wouldn't be able to support anybody. You couldn't feed them, you couldn't sustain. So I mean, I don't understand how people can be so like optimistic and positive when it's just like you look around, it's like there's we've never been in worse shape in like human history like ever. I mean, we're so disconnected on every level. It's not even funny. It's not even close. And like I said, people like us, we were able to use the internet for our betterment, our knowledge, things that we would have had to you know, learn in a book where we would have had to probably go to a library and have to read all this stuff. And, hopefully we had a car to get there and we're able to find the right books and the right pages. And we have to do this the old fashioned way. We've had the luxury of the technology and the internet on our sides where, everyone else I know has had it as well, but somehow is either just refused to look things up, doesn't want to look them up, doesn't, they got their religion, their Jesus, whatever, and they're just good. They're all good. They don't care about Agenda 21, Agenda 2030. Got all this stuff's going on. It's too much for them. I mean, that's just the problem. I mean, it's like you try to talk to people, and I mean, I'll see some people. It's like some people that they are talking about the agenda. They're talking about certain things. They do have some knowledge on stuff. But again, in a date that I always, we've talked about this many times. We've gone out to pound pavement, but again, go back to, Portland when we went out there. Look who was out there. I mean, it was Zach was there. I was there next. Then you were there. Where was everyone to come together? Where's the coming together of humanity too? That's the thing I just don't understand. Like, I mean, I don't want to feel like I'm that old or that I'm that old fashioned where like coming together was just, that was the only way. We didn't have technology. We didn't have phones. We didn't have the internet. There wasn't no social media, dating sites. You actually had to go meet people and know people and talk to people and work together. That's the thing. Nobody works together no more. There's no more teamwork. There's no cooperation. There's no working together. It's this me world, this toxic narcissist, you know, shit show, everyone out for themselves. No one wants to build with anybody. There's no building going on. There's no working together, no teamwork, no cooperation. It's no nothing. It's just, we're all just out for ourselves. And, the lone wolf mentality is just never going to get us anywhere. We outnumber them. There's more of us than there are of them, but all the people together just haven't, for the most part, have not been able to do jack shit. We're some of the few people in human history, believe it or not, that's actually done stuff. And like I always point out, it's one thing, to be an activist and do things that we do, but then these other people that can't even stop voting, can't turn their TV off, can't stop going to a game and promoting this crap. I mean, it's just and that's the thing. I mean, you have people that, and then there's the other part of humanity where people do know that the stuff is, fake or rigged or scripted or whatever, but they're still going to do it and go along with it because they don't have anything else. I mean, they're going to follow that till they're dead. I mean, they got nothing else to live for because everything else has been taken away from them. So it's like, well, I got to have my wrestling. I got to have my football. I got to have my NASCAR. I got to have my Trumpy. I got to have something to, watch and look up to. I mean, I can't have nothing. I mean, that's a lot of people's attitude too. So, I mean, there's a lot of different reasons why, people do have to go and, why we're, people are holding us back. And again, I mean, just the fact that it's, about to be, 2026, we're so deep in the game. You still don't know, people still don't know about Event 201. They still don't know who Klaus Schwab is. They still want to brush it off like it's nothing. It's like, when someone tells you you're going to own nothing and be happy, it's like, yeah, I would probably take that pretty threatening and pretty seriously. I don't think these people are messing around and joking around. I mean, did 2020 look like that? No, that was well planned, well executed. Like I said, I went from everywhere from Washington to Wyoming. Everywhere was locked down. Everywhere had face diapers, 6 feet apart, social distancing, hand sanitizer, entire towns, middle of Wyoming locked down away from Washington, Seattle, Wyoming. I mean, they have this stuff ready to go, all planned, pre-packaged. It couldn't have been more obvious. I mean, they didn't even try to hide it. Like I said, sending me to the hospitals to do, Uber Eats orders when there's supposedly a pandemic and we're people are dying. They can't even keep up, and then all that. And then, here I am, and it's just like, wow. And then, like I said, you show people the Dr. Creep pandemic, coronavirus, 2020 body stacking. It's just like, well, that's just a coincidence, man. I think you might be a little depressed. I think you need to lighten up a little bit,
All of a sudden, you feel that prick in your neck, and you just look behind you. And just, no, chill out, man. Join us. Join us.
Just take the jab, man. You'll be good, bro. That's just a coincidence, that song. I know it came out 7 years before, but he was just messing around, man. Come on. He was just fooling with you,
Yeah, that's one of the things is, once you wake up to all this, you lose your sense of humor. So we have a hard time taking all these coincidental funny jokes that were left, all the funny jokes about the helicopters in Kobe and the 9/11 plane propaganda and Neo having the 9/11 birthday in the Matrix and being centered in New York or Manhattan to be more specific, and there's just so many jokes that we just don't have a good sense of humor. That's all.
Yeah,
that's the issue.
Yeah,
you need to take a cut. Get on
we
the.
gotta lighten up a little bit, just a little bit.
I hear for people who have a little less sense of humor, I hear the SC Johnson, the Johnson and Johnson shot's the one you want to get. You don't want to go Moderna. That's for more of the people who are like cynical. But
Yeah.
I remember, what's even more of a fucked up reason why some people gotta go. I think everyone can agree. I think maybe not everyone, but I think enough people can agree that some people gotta go based off their behavior during COVID. I think that was, if anything, that was a good indicator. And it's not easy for me to say either. This is not easy for me to say because these are people that I respected to a sense, or at least had, definitely no negative concept of these people or thought of them in any kind of way before this event allowed them to expose themselves for who they really were, or at least who they could be changed to be with the snap of a finger over a television. But yeah, I mean, the amount of people that were, bragging on the brand of vaccine they got. I mean, you gotta go. You gotta go. There's nowhere for you. I'm sorry. I'm looking at, it's like, there's the frontliners, there's the tactical people, there's the people I'm talking about once you wake up, where you fit in the army basically of dissenters that we need to move, organize against this regime that's set against humanity. I don't see a box you fit in. I don't care if you're awake now, bro. There's just certain levels to it. It's almost like, I hate to say it, but it's like, man, it's like it's almost as bad to me as like trying to reintegrate a pedophile into your neighborhood. Who wants to do that? Who's just like, oh yeah, he's changed. I'll say she's changed too. They've changed. No one wants to sit there and say, "Oh yeah, everybody gets a second chance." Nah, I don't think you get a second chance. If you were bragging on the brand of vaccine you got, I think you're cooked. You're cooked, and it'd be divine humor if the reason you got cooked is that vaccine that you got. That would be the best form of nature taking its course, really. But yeah, man. Let's see, I had one little note here. Oh, okay. I want to say that it's not on anybody else to give your life purpose. If you don't have a purpose in your life, that's not anybody else's fault. It's your job to give your life purpose. And there's a litany of ways to do that. I'm not going to sit here and say which is a better way, but a cog in the machine is the lack of purpose. That is the lack of purpose. Being able to be turned into an autonomous bot is somebody who has such low will and such low lack of purpose that they fit that bill. I mean, it's so funny because what we're up against is it makes, like you said, you don't want to you don't want to sit there and glaze the enemy, but it's just like, golly, bro.
Yes.
They got so many people, and they've turned the worst into like the worst that we can be. These like autonomous crab in a bucket losers that in one-on-ones would lose 90% of the time with anybody that's awake to the bullshit. Just from like straight up, in my opinion, I think 90% of those people would just lose the 1v1. They don't have to fight a 1v1. They got 90% of dudes. They could just pile it on. It's like World War Z. You know, they could just keep running at you and just an endless horde of drones. They don't need. So yeah, it's just like the way they stacked the deck here. It's knowing that gives me the drive to want to chip away. I think another frustrating. I say it's frustrating because it doesn't make me upset or anything like that. In fact, it gives my soul purpose, in my opinion. I do feel like because I'm able to understand the things I understand, that I'm further in tune with some sort of message that's meant to reach you, but you have to be available to get it. And I've talked about this before, you know, the call that we're all right now, we've either answered the call or there's just a constant dial tone with you. And until you can hear the call and answer the call, it's just still ringing. You're just, whether you're going to answer it or not. And you have 90% of the people that are just ignoring it. And, but they know it's there. I don't give everybody so much credit that they're just walking around and they don't get it. That's the problem. That's where we're going to have to understand as a society, is the people that are hip and awake to this in the community and further in any community, that they understand where we're going with as a society, that there's, you know, going to be two different sects of people. There's going to be the people that continue this machine and uphold the machine, and there's going to be those who more than likely need to be squashed by that machine in order to keep the machine running. Even though I do think that there'll always be some form of resistance, it's just, I would love to say that I was in the resistance that actually, you know, made a dent, but you know, that's just my own. I guess that's part of my ego too, inserting my ego in there, that main character syndrome stuff. But one thing, I don't want to seem redundant and just saying the same thing over or similar things over and over again, but yeah, it's hard. Yeah, it's just hard knowing that what it's going to take is enough people that you might find out, but at the end of it, that the journey was the goal. You know what I mean? There's a lot of that.
Yeah.
That thoughts crossed my path, that it's not so much whether the numbers of people I wake up, quote unquote, or affect in positive ways that like changes the course of what they're doing. I'll find out that no, it was just me. I just had to guide my character to a better place, and that was what I was supposed to do. And in that sense, I think there is a balance there. I think that you're no good if you're a junkie trying to lead everybody to get off drugs. You know what I mean? So it doesn't help that if you're, you know, not in a good place trying to get everybody else to a good place. So in that way, I do think there's something to that you should be you should have some focus on what you're doing in order to be available to help people with what they're doing. But at the same time, it's, yeah, just this whole idea of being awake to these things on a quote unquote spiritual level, and then not like I said, it's just not being able to reach people is one of the biggest things. And they're right there, and they, they can hear you, but it's like half ignorance and half programming that they're under, or spell that they're under. But at the same time, you equate it to yourself, and you're just like, well, why did I wake up? I don't understand. Why did they pull the plug on? Is it me? Was I a glitch? What's going on here? Why can I see these things so clearly? There's no other way. You can, and then the people that will hold up the system, they don't have the answer for why it is the way it is, but they just know that it is, and they'll never question the way it is. And how do you keep doing that? And the benefits have gotten fewer and fewer. Like you said, what is the reason to hold this system up? What is the reason? Everything's worse. And then it also becomes this whole other thing where it's like, if you are benefiting in this system, it's like, yeah, you're a sellout to humanity, because you look down and you see the people who can't cut it in this system but are still trying to, and you're basically just selling them down the road too. You're just seeing their struggle, and because you're not willing to give up anything, and you know what, that's the main problem. No one's willing to give up anything. No one's willing to give up anything, and it's the selfishness that we have as humanity. And I'm not saying I'm not selfish, because you know what, this whole like idea of a breaking point with society and humanity, to where, Mad Max, zombie apocalypse, that kind of whatever might happen, a big global collapse, and it's everybody for themselves type of mentality. I can't say I would be the open arms kind of guy, kind of neighbor. I'm not gonna lie. So I do get that, but at the same time, where I'm at right now, I am open arms. I'm open arms right now, but when it comes down to everybody's a threat, I might be a little bit different. But that's an episode in and of itself. We should probably talk about global collapse as an episode, and the different ways they do that. But I'll write that down. But
absolutely, yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, and it's and it's just like you were saying too. I mean, the thing that's always been so amazing to me, it's just like, this is where it always comes back to with me. It's like, I don't understand. Like, there's so many people out there that's, I failed preschool. I mean, it's like, I'm not, am I really that smart? Am I really that intelligent? I mean, I failed school, failed preschool. I didn't care. I seen it was bullshit. Like, why was that so obvious? And you got all these people that are super smart, just these geniuses, they could take apart a car and put it back together, all bit by bit, piece by piece. They know exactly. They could design a brand new engine. It could be like the best engine ever. I mean, these brilliant minds, these smart people that just know how to do this stuff, or create things, or invent things, or I don't have anything like that. I'm not at that level. Like I don't feel like I'm that smart, like I'm that amazing on that level. But somehow, some way, I've just always been just light years ahead of everyone around me, just in far as like just the vision of life, just being able to see things. So it's I've always had a mind's eye open. It's just and it's the thing is too, I mean, we're so rare, but like you were saying, that is what makes it, that is kind of where the silver lining is, like you said. Because it does go both ways. I mean, it does suck to be rare, but then it's like, you go back to that day at, Portland, it's like, well, that's pretty impressive, pretty amazing that, it's just us three out there versus the world. That's who all shows up. That's it. All these people saying, "Oh, I'm in Portland. I'm right there, man. I'm in Portland. I'm going to come join you. I'm right there." And then this never show up, never care. Just, we're the only people that's like really at the top of the line. So yeah, I that is the silver lining for me to, to be as high up as, we are, and to, do the things that we somehow are able to do that no one else can do or wants to do. But it is also, it's just like, it really does make you wonder. It's almost like, yeah, sometimes I feel like when we die, it's like maybe that's when we really, like, dying is like, right now we're asleep, we're dreaming. When we die, maybe we wake up. I mean, maybe that's it. Maybe that's when you actually wake up. I don't know. Because sometimes I feel like I'm just living a dream. It's just like, okay, I mean, how is this crap still going on? How have I been, it's just, and that's the frustrating point, is that, someone that's been around and awake to the stuff pretty much my whole life and have been researching for so long. I mean, I'm one of the oldest remaining people that have, found Zach back in 2014, almost when he first started. But, you know, to be around this long and to say all these things, talk about these things through the years, and then have how many examples come through life. I always wonder, it's just like, man, all the people I've ever talked to, do they ever in their minds ever think about like any of the things ever said, like, you know what, maybe that Austin guy was right. Maybe he was onto something. Like, I wonder if it really ever, like, I mean, I got so mad too with 2020 as well, telling people, warning people years and years and years before it ever happened. And then you still watch it go down, and everything you showed and explained to people, and they still go along with it. I mean, I've lost how many people in my life I don't even talk to anymore since 2020 COVID. I know you're the same way. I've lost a lot of people as well. And it's just, this cog in the, in the machine to just want to, uh, be part of these agendas. Nobody that, it's like, why would you want to go along with the scam that was COVID, and then just like be proud of it? Yeah, that's the thing. And they've made this, um it's the way people are now. I mean, everyone, like I said, it's become the world of the individual. It's no longer about um coming together and being a team, and all that, and the cooperation, working together aspect. It's just, it's all about what can you do with, just the stupid ideas. It used to be, you did something, it was like there kind of was a meaning or a purpose, or at least it was like kind of good intent behind it. But now it's just like, oh, let me make thousands or millions of dollars off some deep fake AI video, to some crap that's just complete garbage. Or here, I'm gonna buy some fart coin, and I'm gonna make this fart coin explode. I'm gonna make a bunch of money off that. It's everything has become just so stupid. That's the thing. Everything is so dumb. It's the people are dumb. The world is dumb. The technology is getting dumb. Everything's just, it's just getting worse. And then you have this, like I said, this growing population that's just, some people think that it's, like you were talking about the collapse and stuff. Some people think it's going to be kind of the Hunger Games type thing. So you got some people that are, they're kind of, a lot of people right now, that a lot of people that I've seen too, like even videos that I watch and stuff. There's a lot of people that, you know, they're either wanting to leave America or the country, or they pretty much have said, the only way is to probably, try and get into AI and try and make money off that. But like I said, I mean, the future with that is so going to be so short lived, if it's already short lived as it is. But, I mean, just nobody wants to see the writing on the wall. It's just like the AI bubble that could be, getting ready to burst here going into next year as well. That's also on the table as well, with going in with all the 2026 and 26 signs we got going on. So you have some people, but a lot of people still don't even. A lot of people are thinking that AI is going to be this great thing too. So you have a lot of people that are going to be blindsided if it does go down. So you got a lot of people that still. I feel like a lot of people too have taken their eye off the ball as time has gone on too. That's the other thing. Like I said, I really did feel like back in like 2016 there was going to be. Yeah, I just remember what it was like to be 21, in my late teens, early 20s, and it just felt like, man, we were screwed. We were going to lose, but at least, humanity was going to go out with a fight. At least there's going to be more people to do stuff and catch on. And it just seems like so many people have gotten dumb and just fallen off and dropped off or just disappeared. Or I just don't know. I don't know what's exactly happened with people. Like they've gone back to sleep or something, or they just have just fallen off. I don't know what's all with that, but and it's coming a time where we've never needed it more. So I don't really know what's happened with these people, but and then there's other people out there, the preppers and stuff that and like I said, I mean, people that are getting out the U.S., good for you. You're probably going to last a bit longer than people here in the America. I mean, we're going to get it first, and we're going to get it the worst as always. So we're going to get the worst end of it when it does come, and we'll be the worst ones affected. But I mean, leaving is only going to be a temporary fix for a while. I mean, it's only until the stuff catches up with you wherever you go. I mean, that's what I always say. If you're going to go off and just have your food, water, shelter somewhere, and try and live off the land, the grid, and whatever, and just wait for the AI bots to come get you or whatever, or take you out. But I mean, humanity's just, I mean, people are just, like I said, I mean, I see some people that, they're making these videos, they're complaining about things, stuff like that, here and there. But overall, I mean, it's just, it's just, the other thing too, is you have so many people that are not only, pushing for the system to keep going, and whether it's money or, whatever people are doing, but they think that the future is like somehow, I don't know. They think that things are not only like they're going to get better, but like they're just going to be almost kind of like rewarded or handed out things. Like you talk to people and it's just like, it's just like I'll say to some people, it's like, oh, I wish I was like older. Like I wish I was like 60. I could have lived a decent life already. I could have lived through the better days. And then people are like, well, why do you want to be old? It's like, you got, so much life ahead. You got so much to look forward to. And it's just like, I'm looking ahead. I'm like, yeah, there's a lot of it that really benefits me, isn't there? There's a lot that's really going for me that I'm going to be able to really enjoy the next few years, and then it's just like, man, I mean, I don't get it. It's just what, how are people, if they were my age, how would they be enjoying today's life in today's world? I mean, they would have got totally screwed. It's like they only have what they had because they were born at a better time when, like I said, you could do things, you could have things, you could actually live your life to some degree. I mean, uh, like I've said all the time, I've never even recovered from 2020 financially. I mean, you can't do crap no more. The inflation is just getting worse. And it's, I mean, what's Trump doing? I mean, doing the same thing he did back in COVID, printing money, which causes more inflation, which causes the depression we're in, and the economic collapse. So it's already on the walls. It's just, it's so straightforward. And it's just, I've tried to, talk to some people too, like, at the gym about things, and, trying to, talk to them about certain things. And it's just like for the most part, I mean, it just doesn't seem like they can face it or want to face it for the most part. I think that's a big thing. They just like, I'm like, well, so what are people really doing? What are you doing to like get ready? What are you doing to just stop it? And just like, they have nothing to say. It's just like, that's just the thing. I mean, nobody has any answers, but I mean, uh, it's like you brought up too in the last episode, if people just, stop paying their taxes. Yeah, that'd be one great thing. That'd be a start, but like that's just the start. There's a lot more that's got to happen than just that. And a lot of people think that even that, it's all about money. Well, no, the money's fake. The money it's totally make believe. It's an illusion. It's all these things that, and that's the thing. I mean, now you look at it, they're getting rid of pennies. What's the dollar worth? It's worth what, 3 cents, 2 cents. So technically, if it's only worth 2-3 cents, it's not even worth a nickel. Technically, it doesn't even exist anymore. You can already say the dollar is gone. But you still got people out there, oh, a dollar's still worth a dollar, Austin. I don't know what you're talking about. So yeah, you just got people on all levels that it's like they either they just don't want to see it, or maybe they just I don't know. I just don't get it. But we are, it's amazing to be who we are, to be rare, to be able to do what we do. But like I said, it's also got the disappointment and the frustration too, because, we still have to live the time that we have left this life, and then, die with whatever plans that they have to take us out with. So, I mean, like I said, I don't know. These people are going to fall somewhere, but, we'll be falling right there with them when it all comes crashing down.
And you bring up an interesting point there at the end too, because with the dollar and everything, because you argue economics with somebody, even if you guys, neither one of you is well versed in economics, you could explain to them that what you could get for the buying power of a dollar, uh, and with comparison to inflation and all that stuff, you could show them that, and to show them that obviously this inflation is where it happened and what it's from and blah blah blah. But you could also introduce the other concept that what are we doing as a humanity to where things, as we innovate and as technology gets greater, things get more expensive? Like, what is the thought there? What are we doing? Like,
Right.
we're fucking something up. What's the point of all this technology and stuff? It's like, at a personal level, it's convenience, but then you expand out to that, and everything, it drives up the cost of food, and it drives up the cost of gas, and it drives up the cost of all these other amenities and things of that nature. And you're just like, well, then why are we using it? Why don't we just go back to fireplaces? And like, I don't, it's one of those things that once you go back, or once you go through that, you can't go back. The homes that are being destroyed in order to put up condos that all work on electric heat. Guys. What happens when that electricity isn't available to you? Are you going to be sitting there with your potatoes plugged into the acidic water? And how are you running your heat? It's not going to work. Oh, just go to the fireplace. There's no heart. There's no fireplace in any, like, the average city block. How many fireplaces are on the average city block? It's like none, like zero. And so yeah, it's just this crazy thing that it's such a multifaceted attack, that they hit us with. But it also comes down to like what we've been open to giving up. It's like we expect these modern conveniences, and we want to keep up with the Joneses so bad that we're like, oh yeah, electric heat. Oh, look at this. I twist a knob and boom. I don't have to go chop firewood. I don't have to go do any manual labor. I don't have to maintain anything. I'll just call a technician and spend my credits. And it's like, okay, that's all fine and good, but what about that technician doesn't have a job either when the power all goes out? You're not calling nobody. There's nobody. You're a crab in a bucket. You're a drop in the ocean. They're not coming to your aid because you called them and you have a warranty. You're fucked because you subscribe to the new version of things that, the new normal, the new world order. And it's like you've mentioned, the whole living off the land, homesteading, food, water, shelter type of thing. And, that is true to an extent. And, people need to think about that's possible now. I don't know if it'll always be. And like you said, I think it's pretty funny. You go and do that for as long as you can until like the drones find you or the AI. I mean, yeah, to an extent, yeah. But it's as opposed to what? What do we do? Turn ourselves in? It's like, fuck no. So it's just, at the end of the day, I where I'm living now, we have a wood stove, and I manage a bunch of firewood and things of that nature. I gotta cull the trees in our like tree line, and that gives us firewood, and it also helps from them falling, which is actually what happened this year because I wasn't very prepared. So I just had to clean up a bunch of down trees because I didn't, go out there and find the dead ones and cut them down before they fell. But manage firewood, and then we had a chimney sweep come for our wood stove, but that's something I want to do. I want to go on the roof and take the top off and probably going to make my own chimney sweep thing, and I'm going to do it. We're not going to sit there and pay guys. And if we had, so all sorts of things of that nature. And I'm not saying everything. I'm going to be some everyman that be. You guys might not want to believe it, but 3 generations ago, I'll give them this. I don't know who's. We can get in. It might be an episode where talking about how the generations were sold out, because we have hindsight, so we know what happened to sell out these generations. Obviously, I don't think it was anybody's intent as parents to sell their kids down the road. I don't think that that's what they were thinking, but in their actions and in their anyway, it is what happened. But just not that long ago, you would have a grandpa or an uncle who was basically a genius. All not with computers, but basically with mechanical things. Anything that ran on wells or anything, or you had to be a genius to be a homeowner back not that long ago, 4 generations ago. You had to be a genius to be a homeowner. Nowadays, you're praised for being an idiot. You're praised for wanting to install Alexa into your house. Alexa, can you turn the light on in the bathroom and flush in about 2.5 minutes, please, and get the bidet to squirt slightly to the left because I got a little bit more shit on my ass over there. It's just like what all this technology infused things to make us so stupid, to have all this insane works of really the devil, but at least digitally impressive. It's logistically impressive. Let's put it that way. The feats that things are able to do nowadays, but it's completely washed away any sense of doing and doing for oneself from the common person. And they were able to do that so quickly. It's like, and then not to mention, we talked about the generational disconnect. It goes both ways. I've had multiple times in my life, and I still haven't done it. And I honestly, I don't really know what's stopping me. I should really look into this. But I would love to go to old folks' homes and things of that nature, and just pick these guys' brain and just show them that, hey, I want to hear what you guys have to say. Not to mention, I want to kind of index what you guys have to say, because you're taking it with you. Like I didn't live your life. You're going to take information with you that, who knows, it might be vital to what we're going through now, just the same way that we feel like what we have to say is vital to the people that could hear it later too. That mentality is dead. That mentality is dead. That mentality of figure out a mechanical issue yourself. Yeah. And I say it's dead, but honestly, it's in me, and I do espouse that to my children as well. But it's not to the extent that it could have been if we didn't take the convenience route. And what I'll say is it's fake convenience, because it's convenience at the expense of not having any control over it. Now, when you do something yourself, you know how you did it. You know the ends, how to take it apart, put it back together again. Go buy anything from the store. You can't take it apart and put it back together again. And a lot of these things have fail safes to stop you from doing just that. It's not even yours. The contraption is not even yours. It's got a little self-destruct button. If you crack the case open, you can't put it back together. It tears a seal that you gotta send it to the manufacturer to fix. It's not yours. That's not your property if you have to do that. That's not how things work. So it's like this fake convenience that we're all so used to now. And it's just another sign that we are signed up and sold out to this whole new world agenda. And it's sad in a way, but at the same time, the point of this episode isn't to wipe tears and boo hoo about it. It's to point it out for what it is and kind of work out in our heads, what we would do about it, because for all we know, that choice is going to fall in our lap sooner than later, and it's not a fun thought to think about. But you guys got to look closely at your neighbors and understand that several movies do this really well, where they put humanity in a compromising situation, and people that are normally well mannered and people will do drastic things through their psychosis or whatever it is through the scenario that's taking place. And we got to be steadfast if we're going to maintain any I say normalcy, but any kind of reasonable, maintain our heads through what's coming, because it's coming. There's, like you said, they don't put these things in our face beforehand as just a joke. These things are there to tell us what's coming, and it's coming. It's like either we stop it outright or it's coming. And I think that's honestly the joke. That if anything's funny about it, that's the joke. Is they show it to us and they just say, "Do something about it, little bitch,"
Right.
and we don't. So we little bitches.
Yeah, and you said it perfect too before. I mean, everyone's too complacent. That hot shower feels good in the wintertime when it's cold, and the heat feels good, and you got your oven, you got your stove, you can do your cooking right there, and yeah, I mean, everything's just it's too easy, it's too simple. It's people don't want to give that up, people don't want to lose that. Yeah, they don't want to live in the dark and not have the lights and not have their cell phone and everything else that goes along with it all. So I mean that's the whole thing. I mean, people have to make sacrifices, or people have to do something. I mean, and it is interesting, watching this whole thing play out too. Because like I said, I mean, they do have people scrambling. I mean, you do got people scrambling. I mean, you still, it's like I said, it's funny too, because you still have people that are coming to America as well, but you got a lot more people and Americans leaving as well too. So that's just the thing. I mean, you got people coming and going. You got people dying off. People are just going to die here. They're going to, they're homeless right now. They're on their last breath, whatever. They're struggling. They're just gonna die here. They're not gonna do anything. They're just whatever. But I mean, you got people from all levels. Some people, like I said, some people are good with it. Some people are unhappy. And that's the thing too. I mean, like I said, it's like if you're younger than me, you kind of really the programming really. I mean, to live in the the technology and to live in all this stuff. I mean, it was just so different. I mean, in the 90s, early 2000s, the way people were, the way things were. I mean, you had people had respect for kind of one another. People treated each other pretty decent. There was there was community, there was family, there was um, people that still helped out and stuff. And now you really don't have that. People can get help or someone to work with them. It's a lot harder. It's a lot rarer these days. So you're not really going to have a lot of people. And you might have some homeless people. Maybe you say you got a house and some land or something. Maybe you get some homeless people that have nowhere to go and they end up working for you or something. It's some people are going to have that happen. That's going to be a real. Maybe you got to hand them cash or whatever you got. So I mean, there's going to be that type of thing as well. I mean, the way this whole thing's going to completely fall and collapse and stuff. And, and like I said, I mean, some people, they're just going to be in it till the end. I mean, there's some people, they ain't never going to change. They just, like I said, they do their job. They're good with their crappy pay. You know, they're good with they got the football game on. You know, they get to go work with their clients tomorrow with the gym, and then and life's all great, and there's nothing to worry about. So yeah, that's where most people are at. I mean, most people aren't talking in the levels and thinking of levels that we go to, whether because they just can't face it or don't want to face it, or they just don't really see it happening, uh, which is a big problem too, because there's still a lot of people. It's like that's the other thing too. I mean, it's like after 2020, I mean, it's like that's why I always say it's like I don't nothing that these people will do. I mean, and the thing is, like you said, I mean, everything's already. I mean, whether you're talking the Georgia Guidestones, it's been written in stone. These people have bunkers. I mean, what do you think that is? A lot of people think they got bunkers, all this stuff, ready to go hide with all their whatever they have underground and their tunnels and all their crap, when the shit hits the fan. And I mean, the writing is on the walls. It's been on the walls. So it's not like it's anything new. So I mean, you got just a massive wave of humanity that it's just not even answering any kind of a call. I mean, it's just like, man, after 2020, I mean, it's just like, how are you not thinking about their next move, what they're going to pull? I mean, especially if you do know that, that was bullshit. You got people that are thinking, oh, we for sure got another 19 years. Well, you don't know that 2026 could be the year. And by the time the next 19-year cycle rolls around, things aren't going to be anything like they are now. It's not going to look anything like it does now by 2039. That's for sure. If we're still even here by 2039, it probably won't be at this rate. But the thing is, I mean, there has to be a level of where people are acting in some kind of urgency, but not like, like if we were the ones, like I always say, like if we were the ones to, crash the system and stuff, and we were the ones to, make it go down, instead of, waiting on them to do it with their plan, their script, their next move. Yeah, it's got to come from humanity. And it's just, there's just nothing. I mean, people just don't want to rock the boat. Everyone's too comfortable. People rather just keep living life and just keep hoping things get better. But again, I mean, the hoping and praying only goes so far. I mean, people don't want to have action in life. And I mean, that's just the problem. I mean, you got so many people, they just want to sit and just, wait things out and hope and pray when it's just not going to get them anywhere. It's just not going to do them any good. And then, when the event goes down, they're going to be just sit and duck because, even, small preps or anything they could have done. I mean, and some people, I mean, a lot of people aren't going to be able to even do anything. I mean, that's just the fact. I mean, a lot of people, crap hits the fan. I mean, and I'm not saying, I mean, who knows? I mean, maybe we will have to shoot people. I don't know. I mean, maybe that's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to for sure go like that. It might. They might take us out first. They might have a different route it's going to go. It might look a little different than we think. So, yeah, you have a lot of people that, they're kind of on different, like the preppers, oh, I got all my guns and I'm waiting and I'm, out here, I'm going to do this. And, and they think they're untouchable. And it's like, all you got to do is send a little drone the size of a mosquito out to you and just jab you or poke you or shoot a laser at you and you're done. You'll never even see it coming. So it's like, yeah, people don't even think about the technology these people have. And, that's the thing. I mean, humanity is, embraced all this technology. It's just got more expensive. It's caused more problems. It's made things way more complex than it needs to be. I mean, humanity just isn't pushing back in any way. I mean, humanity's just been a big detriment, to us. And it's just, it's been this way my whole life, just talking to people. It's just like, so I always hated too when I was a kid. It always bothered me. It's like people be like, why do you worry about that? Why do you talk about that? It's like, you got your whole life to live. You got your whole life in front of you, Austin. Why are you worrying about this? Why do you care about that? Just go live your life. And it's like, yeah, because it's gonna be here before you know it. We're gonna have to live it. We're gonna have to deal with it if you don't. And now here we are. And it's just like, these are the same people still saying this. It's just they're just too dumb. They're just too delusional. They just can't see it, or they don't want to see it. So, it doesn't matter, what, other people think. It's just, the thing is, we know things. People think, oh, well, you think this, you think that. It's like, no, we actually know things. We actually know what's actually going on. We're not here thinking, I think the elections are rigged. I think the football game in I think the NFL is rigged. I think wrestling and NASCAR is rigged. I'm pretty sure it is. It's like, no, we know it is. We're not sure it is. We don't think it is. We know it is. That's where we're at. We're at the knowing stage. We're up here. It's not. We're not thinking. We're not just coming around. Like it's, you know, you know, 2005, and you watched your first video on the internet of the Illuminati. It's like, I think there is an Illuminati. I think there might, it's just like people are at, like I said, everyone is just so far behind, and that's what's dragging us down. It's like, after all this time, you should be where we're at. I mean, you've had how many years to, have this, knowledge, be right there. I mean, it's not like the 90s, early 2000s where, the internet was still far behind. You didn't have all this stuff. I mean, humanity's had so many chances to put an end and put a stop to this stuff, and they just don't. And like I said, there's a lot of repercussions for that. And then, like I said, people are either too comfortable or they're not even in a position even to defend themselves. I mean, most people, like I said, they don't even got money. They don't got, they couldn't even afford guns, bullets, food, nothing. I mean, that's where most people are at. So, I mean, they've really got most people where they're at. But then, even though a lot of people are still where they're at, they're still somehow optimistic and happy about the future. And that's just the thing. And that's just like what I was saying, all these, these toxic, self-improvement, toxic, positivity channels and videos too are really going to be part of the big demise, because they're keeping everyone distracted from things you really have to, look at. And it's just like, just because, you can't face it or don't want to face it, or it bothers you, you think it's negative, that's, to your own detriment. That's what all these people out there, it's like, oh, it's just all this gloom and doom. And, people are all this about gloom and doom. It's like, well, I mean, and I've said it how many times, it's like, well, what is negativity at this point? I don't even believe in negativity. I mean, the fact that you feel positive, you feel optimistic about the future. If you assuming you have, that's the thing. I mean, I just believe they say these things because they're just too dumb. They do not have the resources, the information. They don't have the knowledge to really truly see what's going on, or they're just too far behind, or they're just promoting this crap too. And that's a lot of it as well. They're promoting it, and they're just pushing along, and just going along with what everyone else is doing. And that's been a big part of it all along. I mean, that's why you see all these people just like I said, you don't have that traditional group setting like you did in the 90s, early 2000s, where people are coming together, talking. It's all, meet someone, online, over the internet. What is that? It's a dot on a screen. You don't even see the person as a person. It's a dot on the screen. That's what most people see. People like us, there's all these guys just dots on the screen. they don't have anything to say. It don't mean nothing. I mean, I get my information from Andrew Wilson. He's a real man. He debates OnlyFans girls. What do these guys do? Talk about controlling the weather? How stupid is that? I mean, how much weed do you got to smoke to watch this channel? I mean, what else talking about? The election's rigged. It's real simple. Just vote Trump, man. You vote Trump, everything's going to be fine. It's going to be great. We're going to make America great again. And, that's where most people are at. They're still over there. They're not over here. So people say, oh, people are waking up. They're getting it. It's just like, well, it's just not enough, man. I'm sorry. It's just like, and some people are getting it. Some people are waking up slightly. Some people are seeing it. But again, it's like too little, too late for most people. I mean, they're at the last, it's just like, they're just getting there now. They're just starting to figure it. It's like, man, maybe we don't have a future. Maybe we are screwed. Maybe the next agenda is right around the corner. It's just like, yeah, it's like, how many agendas, how many things did it take for you to see that? I mean, like I said, I really, like, after 2020, I still, like, even 5 years ago, I was still like more optimistic, because I just thought, I'm like, man, even like 2022, we're coming out of lockdown. I'm like, man, these people, they just got to kick it in the ass a little bit. They just, kick in the ass, but then I've just seen things the last few years just get worse and get worse and get worse. And then, how bad things got this year. And it's just like, yeah, these people just, they just ain't meant to get it, man. They just, they're just never going to see it. And if they do, it'll just be too late. And they're just going to, like you said, that escalator, elevator, it's going into the lava, it's like we're saying, that the doomsday apocalypse, we're sitting here talking, we're thinking about how it's going out, or brainstorm where we're talking, oh, here, this is what I see, here's what I see. And then they're just thinking about, oh, I can't wait for my future and to have my, my big business running and my land and my house and my happy life. It's, that's where most people are at. They're thinking things are going to go great. They're going to go their way. Uh, Again, I mean, I just don't understand where that comes from. How did 2020, when that happened, how did things go great for you? I mean, I just don't understand. I mean, unless you're one of the elites, unless you benefited and made millions and billions and trillions of screwing the world over other people. I mean, you had to lose things. You had to, you know, maybe take a jab you didn't want to take to have your college or your job or whatever, and maybe it killed you, or maybe you have health problems now, and maybe you're suffering because of it, or maybe you didn't take the jab and you lost your job. Maybe you're homeless. Maybe you died because of that. You lost everything because you wouldn't take the jab. Maybe you got cancer from the jab, or turbo cancer. That's just it. Now it's finally caught up with you. Thought you were all good. Now it's taking you out. Or maybe you just lost your money. People lost their business, their house, their everything they had, family. So that's the thing. I mean, I don't understand how that, it didn't make more people more mad. But then, if it did bother you, you're probably out in the streets rioting, and, they anchored that energy in other ways, get people fighting in the streets and killing each other that way. So, yeah, I mean, it was just, it was just well scripted, well thought out. And, people just went along with it any way they could for the most part. And like I said, it's just been a downward spiral. And now things are they've gotten so bad that, 5 more years, you know, uh, from now, I mean, the damage is going to be so bad. It's going to be so insurmountable. Um, and who knows? I mean, yeah, with the way humanity's declining, we may not even have 5 more years. And I'm watching people. It's like younger people too. Like they're aging so bad. I mean, everyone's in horrible health. The young people, people my age and younger. I mean, they look like they're 70, 75. I'm like, what is going on? People just they look awful. I mean, and like I said, you get the people that are obese. I mean, they're not helping us out at all, and they're making the system worse. You got these slobs and this people that just abuse the system, and you got the lazy people that drag us down as well. Just don't want to do anything at all. And like I get the even though we're talking oh it's what we're saying, it's not like we just stop doing anything. It's like we just totally give up and throw in the towel, and I'm not working out no more, I'm not working no more, I'm not taking care of my family no more. It's just over. It's like you got those people too. It's just like they just like snap and they just give up, and it's just like they just walk away and quit from everything. So you have that narrative going on too. So you have the amount of people, and like I said, the biggest way we're probably going to get screwed over too by people in humanity is like this, all this surveillance stuff that's coming with the AI too. People like us, with the digital ID, like I said, we'll probably be the first ones weeded out, or we're going to be ostracized. This is where I also see it coming. It's like, well, if you just got the digital ID already, Austin, this would be so much easier for you if you just would have took your COVID jab already. This would have been so much faster. We could just do this, just get your digital ID and get your digital money, and this could be so much faster. Now we have to take all this time. We got to do all this because you're so far behind. You're lagging behind, and you don't want to do this. And that's what's also coming. There's going to be that divide. People that want to do it and they want to go forward, and they're going to do it, and people like us, and they're going to say, well, because they didn't do it, and they don't want to be part of it. They're the problem, and they're holding us back. And then that's also where there's going to be a huge divide in humanity. And those are the other people that are really going to have to go down the line as well when that time comes, because it's going to be either us or them when it comes down to it. And desperate people, desperate measures, people at each other from every angle, for survival, for getting by, and just basic things, because that's where it's going. There's going to be no escape from the giant big tech takeovers, like to call it.
Yeah, and it's interesting too because the people that you're talking about too. What's interesting is like I will give a concession is that there is something against us all. So I will give that concession. Like there is a machine that is against us. We talked obviously about that. That doesn't mean you accept the rewards from the machine and sell out, but I'll give you that. But what's so interesting is, and why I bring this up is because the older generations, they, like you were saying, they get their houses for 10, 15, 20 grand and they're set with all their stuff. Of course, they were being squeezed in other ways, and we can get into that in another conversation or whatever. But what's interesting about that is, could you convince that generation to accept smart city? Fuck no. Hey, you want an apartment the size of a washing machine, and you want to get plugged into the meta, and all your currency is going to be through like digital like quests, basically, like you're living in a video game, and you're just that Black Mirror episode Incarnate. If you guys haven't seen it, there's this Black Mirror episode, all of that. Literally, it's a Black Mirror for sure. But yeah, it's a, what do they like to call it? It's a documentary. It will be, it's a look into what's going to happen. But could you convince those people to give up all that stuff, all that land they owned, all those personal property that they had? Fuck no. So you have to curb that population into what it is today, and you squeeze harder and harder and harder, and the more we're willing to accept less, then we're being molded into the box people. We're going to be the new box people that live in little boxes. I mean, look at Japan. They're going to have no problem. Japan's going to accept smart cities, no problem. They basically already are. But it's less organized. But I bet Japan, within 10, 20 years, it'll be considered, the district. Oh, by the way, if you ever watched anime loves to show Japan as, because they are districts. They're districts now, but when they show them later, they'll be these organized, like futuristic. They'll sell it as like futuristic, but you'll if guys, if you watch enough anime or whatever. I haven't watched anime for a while, but anyway, yeah. So it's like you already have certain countries that are basically set up for these smart cities. You can't convince 1920s, 30s Americans that are at the eve of this the revolution of personal ownership and all these other things and technology, to give it all up and go live that lifestyle. So we have been groomed into the type of person that will accept it. But along the way, we've had our chances, like you've mentioned and I've mentioned, to stand up to it and see things for what it is, and understand that it's not where we should be going and what we should be doing. And we failed each step along the way. And what's it going to take? Do we really want to become box people? Is that what humanity is at the end of the day? Is that what we're going to be known for? And if so, we talked about, the pew pews, the guns, and, I will say this, Austin. I think what it's going to come down to is, I'm not going to be using the guns that I own, and I won't put too much information out, but I won't be using those to be fighting against the invisible drones and the things of that nature. It's going to be the neighbors. It's going to be the people in the town, or the drifters, or the things of that nature. They will be useful in that way, I do believe. So you pose the question, are we going to have to shoot? I think, before it's all said and done, we have to. I don't know if it'll be me or our generation, or I don't know those things. Unfortunately, we're not in the club, so we don't have that. We're not privy to that information. But
right.
I do feel a sense of preparedness is key. I'm not some redneck, if you will, that's like sitting there thinking it's me against the world, and that's a good tactic, because obviously that's very egotistical and heavy-headed. But I do have a sense of comfort knowing I own it. And anyway, so that's that. But Yeah, we hope that you guys enjoyed our takes here. I knew it would be, semi controversial, just based on the context of depopulation and what it entails. And there's still so much more you could talk about. Like I mentioned, previous generations and generationally how we got each step of the way. There's lots of things you could talk about. You can get, depending on your age or your knowledge on history, you can give us your take on how we got here, or what's going on here, or trajectory moving forward. Anything, feel free to let us know in the comments. Criticisms, of any episode, I would say, and not to say that we're not willing, we're not open to criticism every episode, but this has been one of the more ones where if we do get some criticism, it makes enough sense, and we're open to it. More importantly, that you guys own yourselves and you guys understand that it's your time now to speak up and talk and form a community and make yourselves known. It does you no good to sit there and, like, if you disagree with us about something, motherfuckers, and then go to bed. Like, bro, what are you doing? Bro, come and talk to us. We're not Sora AI, bro. Just come and talk to us and see what our reply is. Maybe we continue to disagree. Maybe it breaks out into a nasty argument. So what? Live, bro. Live with us. And but hopefully that doesn't come to that, because at the end of the day, I do think our paths meeting up was to embolden others and bring more people together. So that might clash with this concept that we're talking about, but don't let it, guys. Realize that there's nuance to every discussion, and it really does pay to have seen our videos and have a contextual, like, database of what we've talked about and where we stand on a lot of things. That way these things won't come across crazy to you guys. It won't just be out of the blue, I should say, because you will have heard our opinions on these things before. But yeah, with all that being said, I could yap about it all day long, but yeah, really just looking for a lot of community engagement on this one, and really anything moving forward, along with ideas for episodes upcoming. I know it was a little bit of a hit, the idea of doing a conspiracy show, maybe once a month, maybe once every 2 months or so, but something where we highlight either conspiracies or a conspiracy that we want to hit on. So I think that's something that will take a little bit of planning on our part. So we'll have to conspire throughout the week to figure out what we want to talk about, or or obviously you guys suggesting not just the idea, but the things as well that you want us to hit on. That way we can do more concise searches, and maybe we already know about these things and we can talk about these things. But that's been something we've thrown out there. We got the next couple of weeks, I think, with the potential talking about global collapse, i.e. zombie apocalypse, nuclear fallout, these ideas, and just what that means. And then, of course, we have the idea for the year in review at the end of the year. But yeah, lots of places where you guys can give us a lot of input and really shift us towards what you guys want to see. And but that doesn't mean we're dancing like monkeys. I want to know who's suggesting it. I want to, guys, come be a part of this. Don't just I welcome the suggestions. I welcome all of that. I'm not saying that any of that's bad, but I do think that I would much prefer it be a mutual thing here. It's like we can say it every episode, and until it becomes what I do think it has the potential to become, we'll just still keep saying it, I guess. But yeah, guys, get up, get active with us, and let's make this something bigger. Not for personal monetary gain necessarily, but for spiritual gain, for mindset gains and things of that nature, things that is sorely being missed in the age that we're living in, the dumbed down AI bullshit culture. Let's, do what we can to break free from that, and in doing so, hopefully affect more and more and more, and so on and so on, but also bring communities together that are right on the brink of each other right now. You've mentioned talking to other communities and spreading the word. It is necessary too, because I see so many communities that are just basically Venn diagrams that don't touch. They're just so close. They share a lot of the same values and ideas, but they just don't touch because it's too important for those communities to stay separate in their own little bubble and own those bubbles, when that's just not how things need to work. These bubbles need to smash into each other, and ideas need to clash, and things need to happen in order for us to flesh out what we should be doing and what's real, and how, all that kind of stuff. We live our lives and we have no idea what we're missing, because like the person that could give us the key that unlocks what we need is in another community that can't be in our community. Like it's fucking Hunger Games and we're in different districts and shit. So we need to, break up that mentality and get back to the communal thought process that, helping out one another and filling in that, being that missing piece for one another. And at least while we can with this technology and social media and things of that nature, try to use it for quote unquote good. But yeah, I'll let you close us out and say deuces, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. That was a great last message there, and I agree with all that as well. Like I said, if there's other people out there that are finally just finding this content or finding this video, or people that maybe just subscribe, people that I've tried to reach out to, and yeah, I mean, and again, if people disagree, or maybe they're not really hip with what we talk about, they're not into it, or it's not their thing, even if maybe you were distraught by this video, or you were repulsed, if you want to even debate, or have a debate, or come on or something, that's the other part of this. I think there's too many people that like you said, there's too many lanes that are just, they're separated by a little line, and there's no reason you can't just kind of come on over, and there should be a lot more commencing of channels and other people and stuff, and it needs to be a lot, and that's what, that's my goal. Like I said, I want to keep reaching out and seeing if we can get more people or someone else on, other people, and just try and get this information out any way possible as well. If they want to you know help out with that, or they got stuff, or again, it doesn't have to be that we're, like I said, no two people are exactly alike or agree about everything. So it's not, again, if you disagree, or you want to oppose what we're saying, or have some kind of a debate or something, that'd be great. Or if you even have questions, maybe there's things that you're curious about. I know some people are curious about some things. This is the time to get in touch. I mean, there's so much channels out there. There's a lot of people that view the content, and like I said, from what I've seen from a lot of the comments, and even being in some of these live chats and trying to reach out to people, there are some people that are hip with the things that I'm saying, to a degree. So if you are, you know definitely, that's a big green flag to approach, and to hop into what we got going on. Again, I mean, this is everything we do is, it's like I always say, it's a group effort. The lone wolf stuff's not going to get us anywhere, and people that are they're too afraid to you know speak out, or say these things that we say. You got to realize, at the end of the day, there's a lot worse things than death. There's a lot worse things in life than death, especially where we are and where things are going. And it takes, like I said, it takes a lot of people to make a difference. And I feel like there's people out there, there's channels that I feel like they might slowly be surely kind of coming around. I've been, really trying to, hit them up and, maybe, either share the work or just try and talk to people and see where people are at. It seems like there's definitely people that are at least, have this kind of somewhat mindset at least, which is good. So, and those are, again, a lot of these channels are bigger channels. They get a lot of comments, views, people talk about them. We're still, of course, we're shadow banned because we're really telling it like it is. So we're in deep. So we're, again, even if it's, again, it doesn't have to be gematria. It could, if you want to learn gematria, you have questions on that. This is definitely a channel for that. And there's other channels as well. But, anything else is, any way that you also have things to agree with, like I said, and I'm sure that, if people do, if the channel does, if there is other people that are, you know, this video that, I know we didn't talk too much about really gematria in this one. We kind of went over the 26s, 62s, but that's kind of too for the people out there that, aren't, it's like the NASCAR, not everything in NASCAR, not everything in gematria. So we're trying to, you know, kind of go to your side too, and, kind of go where other people are at, where, it's like, okay, try and meet people where they're at and things they, and then also try and be a bit abrasive, see where people are at. So, we're kind of in an experimental time with the channel as well. It's not only us leading it, it's other people as well. We've been on here long enough, we got almost 330 subs. So, um, that's pretty much where you got to look at it. It's like, okay, what do we do from here? I mean, yeah, there's, uh, like I said, other things, other topics for other weeks and, other things, but there's a lot that other people can fill the gap in with too. And if other people, like I said, they feel like these videos are, even maybe we're just helpful. Maybe other people out there feel the same exact way. There's other people like, they're like, fuck yeah, I hate you, man. You wipe these people out, man. I mean, there could be, or yeah, fucking people need to go or whatever. So there's other people out there that, they could come across this and they could agree too. I mean, just based off of what we were saying. So, you know, there's a lot of potential, I'll say right now. I don't know exactly like what I said, like the time in the future and, how long we're going to have a voice and while we have a voice and, before we lose it on here and stuff. So that's what you got to be thinking about. You got to be thinking about what you have right now and where things are going and trying to, um, just try and cross at other channels and try and get more people out there that, maybe it's not exactly the same exact things they're saying, but there's enough there where it's like, yeah, this makes sense. I mean, that's kind of the whole point of everything. Like it's just like you start looking at things, you start researching things, and you go, yeah, these dots are connecting. These things are adding up. They are lining up. That's when you start, seeing the progress. Instead of, oh, it's just, a coincidence, or I'm not into this, or I'm not into that. And like I said, if you do think it's coincidence, or you're not into it, or whatever, come explain why. Come explain what deters you from looking at this stuff, and why you know it's not your thing, or why maybe the things that we talk about, uh it's maybe too much for you to grasp, or why maybe you just don't want to face certain things. There's so many things that I feel like there's so many people that we've covered so much, we've done so many different videos and so many things. I mean, there's probably something for literally everybody, even someone that won't even really find this kind of work or these kind of topics interesting. It's always an open table. It's not like I said, we have our NASCAR, we talk gematria, we talk about just about anything and everything. So that's the thing. So if people are new and are finding the channel, this is your time, to make your presence known. Because like I said, it's going to be open table, like I said, till pretty much February. And we got some things, like I said, we'll do the year in review in the end of the calendar year coming up. Obviously we'll have King on, more as well. We got the doomsday episode coming up, talking about the collapse, how it's all going to go, or what we think is going to happen, or how we see it playing out and stuff, and what we envision. I mean, and there's people I know that have a lot of people that would be interesting to hear what they are talking about as well, because a lot of people that are into that as well. So again, there's pretty much an episode for everybody at this point. Again, like I said, 62. We're almost getting closer to 70. feel like we need that Social Security kicking in pretty soon here. We're getting old. So, yeah, it's pretty much all I have to say. I think this was a great episode. I think a lot of people should have some kind of feedback with it. I think it should strike people some kind of way. And I think a lot of people will agree. But again, there's probably people out there that maybe don't or won't. So, let us know what you think. And, we'll be back for episode 63 in a week. That'll be our last episode of the month already. It's crazy. Going into December already. About to get into that new calendar year, 2026. It's the 26ers are about to come alive.
Oh, yeah. With that being said, guys, well put, Austin, and we will see you guys next week. Hope to hear from you in between then. Later, guys.
Peace.